everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for subscribing so far and thank you for viewing my channel. And for the passerby, please make sure you like, share and subscribe. Today we'll be looking at how to draft a bubu kaftan gown with this piece of fabric. So let's get started. Okay, this is a 2 years fabric I'll be using for this gown. Okay, I've folded my fabric into 4. I first of all fold into 2, then I folded again. I'll be taking my gown length measurement now. Okay, I'll draw out my neckline, my shoulder line. Okay, then my gown length. The gown length I'll be working with is 54. I'll be adding 1 inch extra for seam allowance. Please take note, you have to add extra inches for seam allowance if you don't want your gown to jump. But if you want your gown extremely long, add extra inches to your gown length. Okay, from my shoulder line, I'll just measure down to where I have my 54. Then I'll add extra 1 inch to it, making it 55. I don't want my folding to be big, so that's why I'm adding 1 inch. If you know you want to fold yours big, you can add 2 inches. On my shoulder line, I'll be taking my shoulder slope. For constant or shoulder slope, you measure 3 inches on the neckline. The shoulder I'll be working with is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So on my shoulder measurement, I will come down by 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and connect the line together. On the neckline, you take 3 inches. Then on the shoulder line, you take, where you have your shoulder measurement, you come down by 1 inch. Then you connect your line together. It's common to know that your shoulder is not balanced. It's kind of sloping. So that is why we have shoulder slope. So you just connect the line together. I just draw out my shoulder slope. Okay, if you want to sew a gown that has a joint sleeve, because this bubu gown is not having a separate sleeve, you will have to measure from your upper neckline. From your upper neckline, like this. Doing this, you will need the help of someone. Your actual sleeve length and shoulder measurement together. You multiply your sleeve length by 2, then you add it with your shoulder measurement. So the sleeve length I'm working with is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus my shoulder measurement will give me the exact measurement I need for this bubu gown. Okay, I'll go ahead now and put in my measurement. So in total, I said my sleeve length I'm working with is 8. 8 times 2, because we have 2 sleeves, so 8 times 2 is 16. That's why we're multiplying by 2. My shoulder measurement is 14. Altogether, I'm having 30. So you will not divide that 30 by 2. By the time you divide it by 2, you get your accurate measurement. So that 30 divided by 2 is 15. So I'll put in that 15 here. If you want your sleeve to be longer, you multiply whatever you want your sleeve length to be by 2. Then you add your shoulder measurement. After adding it, you divide whatever you get by 2. So I'll go ahead. What I have is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So I'll just put in my 15. I've just added my 15. So I want this side is where your opening will be, your sleeve opening, where your hand will come out. This is the part here. So you use your round sleeve measurement at this end, the folded end, where you have your folded part. So this is where my hand will come out. So this is for the opening. You use your round sleeve measurement and add extra inches for seam allowance and also for joining of the bodies together, joining of the shoulder and the sleeve. So I'll be using 1 inches to join both of them. So my sleeve measurement, my round sleeve measurement is 12. So this part is 12. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. but I want it to be freer. I don't want it fitted, so I'll be using 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5. Remember I said I'll be using adding extra inches for joining both the upper part and the bodies. So I'll add 1 inch extra. So what I'll be working with is 8.5 in total. So I'll mark out my 8.5 for my sleeve opening. Remember we already added the seam allowance to join the neckline area and the bodies. So I'm working with 8.5. And when taking your measurement, you come after your slope, after the line you took for your slope. That's where you take your measurement. You can see how I placed my tape like this. So I just took 8.5. So now I'll go ahead and take my bust measurement. Just mark out where my bust point is. My bust point is 10. So on that 10, I will take my bust measurement. The bust I'll be working with is 34. 34 divided by 2 is 8.5. Remember I said this is a bubu gown, so we'll be adding plenty seam allowance. 8.5, I'll be using 3 inches extra. So I just added 3 inches extra to my 8.5 because I want it free. It's not having zip, so it has to be very free. A little bit bugos, but not too bugos. If you want yours to be very big, you can go ahead and add 5 inches extra to your body measurement. But I'll be using 3 inches extra. I don't want it all that bugos. 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So I will measure out my half length. The half length I'm working with is 15. So I'll just mark out 15 here. I'll rule it out so you can see clearly and understand. So I just mark out my 15. Measurement is 28. We also divide your waist by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So I'll come here, I'll mark out 7. I'll go ahead and also add 3 inches extra. If you don't want your gown to, it's optional to add a waist measurement to this bubu gown. You can just go ahead and mark for your bust measurement and your hip measurement, then you just connect the lines together. But I don't want my own, like I said earlier, I don't want my own to be too free, too bugos. I want it to be a little bit shapy, to have like a shape. Like I'll just connect my waist and my bust line together like this. Hope you can see. I think I should change the color of my chalk, just that this one is a little bit okay. This is my waistline, my bust line. Let me draw the line out. Then on my hip measurement, from my shoulder I'll come down by 24 inches for my hip line. It came down by 24 inches. So I just draw the line. My hip is 38. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. I'll also go ahead and put my 3 inches here and connect the lines together. Okay, so I just measure what I have here for my hip, because this is what I'll be using for my hemming line. That's the lower part of my gown. So what I'm having here in total is 13 inches. So on my hemming line, I'll be adding 1.5 inches extra. You can go ahead and add more. I just used 13. That's the hip measurement I got. I just added 1.5 inches extra. So I'll just connect the lines together. Okay, remember we took 8.5 on where we'll be having our sleeve opening. So on that 8.5, I'll just come in like this with 1 inch. On where we took 8.5 for our sleeve opening, you just come in by 1 inch. Then you just connect the line, giving it a little curve to the 1 inches. So just from that 1 inch, I'll connect to my shoulder line like this. to be having a slant, a kind of slant, width to be 3 inches. I'll be using 3 inches for my neck width, and for my neck depth I'll be coming down by 4 inches. So just for the back, I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. Then I'll just connect the line. This for the back and this for the front. So I'll go ahead and cut my back neck first and the other part of the gown. I've cut out the excesses in my gown, and this is it. I've carefully cut it out, and this is my neck. I'll go ahead now and remove the back. I'll just take one out, then I'll cut my front neck. I want to let you know that this measurement I use on my neck area is subject to change. If I see it's too small or it's too big, I can choose to adjust it. So I'll just go ahead now and cut it out by 1 inches on my front part of my neck. I just connect it together and cut it out. I just noticed that the neck is looking very small, so I'll just come down by 1 inch. So I'll be using a bias strip to turn the front and the back neck. From my shoulder to my waist is 15 inches. I'll just mark that 15 inches here, then come down by 2 inches where my pocket is going to start. From that 2 inches, I'll mark 7 inches for my pocket opening. This is where my sleeve, my hand will pass through. 7 inches. From the 2 inches downward, then you mark out 7 inches. I'll be using this for my pocket. This is what I'll be using for my pocket. So I'll just fold it into 4. I just fold the piece of fabric into 4. You can see it's into 2. Then I folded again into 4. I'll go ahead and place my hand like this and trace it out, leaving a little space. You just trace your hand out like this. Just trace it out, making sure that I'm having like 8 inches here for joining it. You have to have extra inches for joining it, like 1 inches extra to my opening. Remember, we use 7 inches for the gown, so at this point you mark what I'm having here is 9, so it's okay. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. Part of my pocket, this is the pocket, this is how it's looking like. So I'll just come down here by 1 inch, then or ½ inch, depending on how you want it. I'll do same thing at the other end. But before then, when joining the two together, you come down by, when you are joining your both, I'm having 2 pieces, it's 4 already, so I'll join these 2 together and these 2 together for the left and right. When joining your pocket, you leave 1 inch here. This 1 inch, you use this opening to attach it to your gown. Then you just sew straight to this other end. You do same thing here. You leave out by, you come down by, you stop at 1 inch below, 1 inch here and 1 inch here. You use this part to join to your gown. So that's it. You do same thing to the other side of the pocket. So I will go ahead now and shaping my gown, join the pocket, and I'll show you the outcome of our bubu gown. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Bye bye.